we've had some questions recently from people on our Facebook page asking about hatching their own eggs. It's becoming more and more popular. More people want to know the origin of their food, and with lockdown and current events, having your own chickens is becoming more and more popular, and people want to hatch their own. So welcome to the first of a series of videos we thought we'd put together on how we hatch our eggs. It's only one method of doing it. It's how we do it. There are other methods out there and they work just as well. But this is how we do it, and hopefully it'll help you do your own. We're going to cover everything over the next 4 or 5 weeks, from the eggs themselves to incubators to candling the eggs to see which ones are actually viable. We'll cover the hatch itself, then we'll cover brooding, how to look after the chicks once they're born, and then we will look at how to incorporate them into an existing flock. So it should be maybe 4 or 5 videos over the next 6, maybe 8 weeks, and we'll see how it goes. But before we start, and before we look at the eggs, which I've just got, I want to talk to you about cockerel plans. If you hatch your own chicks, if you hatch your own eggs, you are going to get boys. Statistically, 50% of them will be boys, and you've got to have a plan of what you're going to do with them. If you choose to rehome them, if you feel you can rehome them, if you can sell them, then fine. If you're going to keep them, even better. We keep a few cockerels here. We've got 4 or 5 flocks, and each one of them has a cockerel. But you know, if you live in suburbia, then in urban areas you're actually not allowed cockerels. Mrs. Smith at number 6 is going to get really upset when your cockerel starts crying at 3:30 in the morning, and she's going to want you to do something about it. So you've got to have a cockerel plan, and that may well include dispatching them. So if you're not prepared to dispatch them, if you can't get rid of them anywhere else, then please don't hatch chicks at all. You've got to have a cockerel plan. And if you're happy with that, then we'll go and start and look at the eggs. So here's our eggs. These are rare breed Ixworth eggs. Where you get your eggs from is entirely up to you, but my advice is if you can get them from a local breeder, then do so. It's much better than having them posted. I got these posted to me because there are no local breeders of Ixworths around here. So I got them posted from a reputable dealer, and they look really good. If you do get posted eggs, the important thing is that you've got to rest them for at least 24 hours before putting them in the incubator. And what I tend to do is I turn them during that period every 4 or 5 hours. I'll put something under the other end so that they tilt the other way, and it stops the embryo or the yolk really sticking to the side of the egg, which isn't good in terms of hatching. So every 3 or 4 hours, just tilt them in the other direction, and I find that has a good effect on the hatch rate. So rest them for 24 to perhaps even 36 hours before putting them in the incubator. And make sure the incubator is up and running before you put the eggs in. So that's the eggs. I've got 12 of them here. These are the ones we're going to follow right the way through the process, from putting them in the incubator right the way through to hopefully adding them to our flock. And the next thing you need is an incubator. Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention about the eggs is that we're asked quite often, do you wash the eggs before they go into the incubator? The answer to that is no. They are covered in an antibacterial coating when they are laid, and that stops any bacteria getting through to the embryo inside. So by washing the eggs, you wash away that coating, and therefore you wash away the protection that's giving it. If they're really dirty, you can chip away some of the mud on there, but no, don't wash them. Just get rid of some of this mud if you can. These are really clean eggs. I've given that one a bit of a rub, but no, don't wash them before you put them in the incubator. So this is the incubator that we use. It's a Brinsea Ovation 28. Other manufacturers are obviously available, but I would strongly advise you to go for a reputable incubator manufacturer. There are a lot of imports at the moment, and frankly, some of them are not only harmful to the chicks, but do not meet British standards in terms of their electrical safety. And frankly, some of them are from the Far East are a fire hazard. So I would strongly advise you to invest in a reputable manufacturer. Even if you're just going to hatch once, spend the money in the first place. These do have good resale values. This is, as I said, is a Brinsea, and it's the only one we use, and we have excellent hatch rates with it. It's fully automatic. You can set the temperature and pop the eggs in, and then more or less in 18 days time, you'll go into lockdown, which we'll cover later, and 3 days later, they'll hatch. It can carry up to 28 eggs. I strongly advise you don't put 28 eggs in here. It can get a bit crowded if you have a very successful hatch. We're going to use this incubator today to put those 12 eggs in, the Ixworths. This is what it looks like on the inside. There's a little motor in there, and it automatically turns the eggs every 45 minutes. I'll just move that. So this moves backwards and forwards every 45 minutes and turns the eggs, which is vital. It's got a couple of water troughs in the bottom if you want to do humidity. We're going to do what's called dry hatching or semi-dry hatching, and we'll talk about that throughout the process. I'm not going to add any water at all. This is where you put the eggs. You've got to go pointy side down, remember. I'm going to say that again, pointy side down when you are incubating these eggs. This is where they'll go, and they'll spend the next 20 or the next 18 days here until lockdown, and then we'll get them out and we'll lay them in the bottom of the incubator, and hopefully that's where they'll hatch. So this is the Brinsea. This is the incubator we're going to use. I've got the eggs, I've got the incubator. I'm going to turn this on now, and when it gets up to temperature, and that's 37.5 degrees, then they will be ready. It will be ready to put the eggs in. My strong advice is that you have an extra thermometer in your incubator to have an independent check. Some of these can be slightly out, the settings on there. This one's really good. Some of the settings on these incubators can be slightly out. So have another thermometer in there, an ordinary mercury thermometer. You can get hatching thermometers for about £12 online. Have that sitting in the bottom, and that's the one to go for. So if that says 38 and that says 37.5, then you want to bring that down by half a degree so that the hatching thermometer in the bottom of your incubator says 37.5 degrees. That's the temperature you are looking for. Any colder, and it may take a few more days for the eggs to hatch, but any hotter and they won't survive. So slightly cooler is okay. Any hotter than 37.5 and you risk cooking the eggs. And they will not hatch. So that's the incubator. Got the eggs, incubator. Now I'm going to turn it on, get it up to temperature, and we'll put the eggs in, and that'll be it until for another 10 days. Okay, so we're ready now to put the eggs into the incubator. The incubator is up to temperature now. It's been on for about an hour, and you'll see from the display that the temperature there says it's 37.5 degrees, which is exactly what we want. The humidity is 38%. Don't worry about the humidity at this stage. We are going to dry hatch. People get hung up on humidity. We're going to worry about that later on in the process, but we're not going to add any water at all now. We are going to dry hatch. So temperature is up to, the incubator is up to temperature. We'll take the top off. You'll see the little trays where the eggs go, and we're going to pop the eggs in pointy side down. We'll put 6 in each tray. Doesn't matter if they're slightly squiffy. Again, pointy side down, all of them. You see there's a point there and a more rounded side there. Again, no water. There they all are ready to go, so we'll put the top on the incubator. We're going to make sure that this little wheel here sits in with the motor, because that's what's going to be turning the eggs every 45 minutes. You'll notice the temperature here has gone down to 31 degrees. That'll be up to 37.5 again in a couple of minutes. And that's it. The eggs are in there, the incubator's on, it's ready to go, and we're not going to touch them at all for the next 10 days, which is when we'll candle them, and we'll do another video on that. So that's it for now. Eggs are safely in there in the incubator, and we will see you in 10 days. One thing I forgot to say in terms of timing is that when the eggs go in the incubator, that's day 0. Okay, so it's not day 1, it's day 0, and the lockdown is after day 18, another video of that, and the eggs will hatch on day 21. So when the eggs go in, it's day 0 today. That's it for now. We will make another video in 10 days when we candle them, and we'll see which ones are viable. Thanks very much for watching.